Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Business Uncaged, presented by Texas Tribe. Hopefully you all had a good weekend and did your spirals we talked about. I got some amazing emails from you guys over the weekend, and truly, I'm very grateful that you're enjoying this. Obviously, I'm getting paid by your universities and your schools, but more than anything, this is a passion project to me. I want to inspire you guys. I think that, entrepreneurship and business and getting to actually cut some calluses and real business and real experiences. And you learn, after you do it for 5 or 6 years, you only learn by doing. So that's the nature of this course. I'm glad y'all are enjoying it. I'm glad you enjoyed real estate week number 1. We bought the rent house over here next to the studio, 420 West Van Alstyne Parkway. So as we do some renovations and we get insurance and all that, we'll make sure we update you guys on the Uncaged social channels. Today, though, we are talking about cattle, the cattle business, but mainly for ag exemption if you buy property as an investment. And also, a lot of you guys across Texas probably want to live on some sort of land. How you can minimize your taxes by raising cattle, or if you have buddies from college or high school or family members that raise cattle or pigs or anything else. I'm just using cattle because it's easy and I know it. Any sort of agriculture, we're going to talk about how you can use that to lower your taxes. We're going to talk about depreciation, and we're going to talk about how if you're an entrepreneur and you make $80,000 and you are tax efficient, you take the proper depreciation, and you understand how the American and Texas tax code is built for entrepreneurs, you can actually make just as much money on paper as the corporate hotshot that's making $120,000. They are getting taxed like crazy, and you as an entrepreneur can minimize your taxes and come out on top. So, with all that said, welcome to Cattle on Business Uncaged. So, a lot of you grew up in Texas. If you're not from Texas, obviously cattle is a large part of Texas. Cattle originally were introduced by the Spanish in 1423 in Mexico. Those herds later migrated up into America. Cattle became a fixture in Texas with the Wichita Trail, with Route 66, and with the railroad industry. A lot of you know Fort Worth is commonly called Cowtown. Now, cattle became a huge business in Texas because banks, for the first time, looked at cattle as an asset in 1881. Banks would lend against cattle because they knew that had an actual price fixed to it because of the meat and everything else you could get from the cattle. So people started taking risk on cattle in the same way they take out debt for real estate now. Cattle, oil, real estate, metals, those are all loanable assets. They're hard assets. Cash is as well, obviously. The banking industry exploded in Texas because cattle became a huge fixture in the banking scene. People were raising cattle, they were feeding them. The cowboys were roaming the cattle around different pastures. Ultimately, barbed wire was created and created a lot of millionaires in Texas from that. But people would roam cattle and eventually sell the meat. A lot of these early cattle barons still have generational wealth. You look at the Four Sixes Ranch out in West Texas, this family still has over $1 billion, thanks to oil, large part, but their land conquistador mentality started from the cattle business. Now, go to 1975, Texas passes tax code that allows people to raise cattle on their land or on investment properties and use that as ag exemptions. So when you drive down major highways and you see plots of land that haven't been developed yet, oftentimes you'll see cattle or pigs or anything else, mostly cattle though. Now, what they do is they use this as an ag exemption where they don't have to pay property taxes on that land that's rising fast in value. Cattle have long been used as a tax strategy for Texas business people, especially land speculators that buy land north of big cities like DFW and Austin and Houston with the hopes that land appreciates. If you go to your spiral and look at Cage's hot terms, appreciation is when land goes up in value as an asset itself. You're not doing anything to it. Just because of the economy, because of immigration, because of the market, land is going up. Cattle is a common tax practice used by people throughout Texas. And today, we're talking about how the business of cattle works, from leasing your land, how you can actually have cattle, and how you can make a little bit of money on cattle. Today, we're going to have several people come on. We're going to have 3 guests after this lecture. And then we're going to go out to a feed yard right up here in Sherman, Texas, in a cattle sale barn. We're going to talk about very introductory futures prices. And then I'm going to write a check for a few young cows, and we're going to visit it throughout the semester and see if we can make a profit.